Hare Krishna. Okay, you're all like obedient children, right? Sitting in line. Okay. That's fine, that's fine. No? The mic is with you? The mic is there, okay. So let's start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayat nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki Om Ajnanaatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Visabhutile Shrimati Prabhupadati Priya Shri Girirajaya Swamini Suvaksha Shastra Vigyaya Didya Sadhana Shalini Radha Ras Vihari Bhyam Bhakti Vyaschatmadayini Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Visabhutile Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatali Shatarini Mukham karoti vachalam panghum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam. Hare Krishna. Sorry? Hare Krishna? You can't hear me? You can hear me? Okay, alright. So long as you don't mess up. Just check the volume. Hare Krishna, can you hear me? You can hear me, so don't touch it. Huh? Otherwise start screaming. Alright, so we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 28. We are on text 49. Okay, so now this is Puranjana becomes a woman in the next life. So the king Malayadhwaj, so he has left the body, and the wife is left alone in the forest. So at that time, she cried out, "O best of kings, please get up. Get up. Just see this world surrounded by water and infested with rogues and so-called kings. This world is very much afraid, and it is your duty to protect her." So text 49, we recite together. Evam vilapanti bala vipine nugata patim patita padayur bhartu rudatya shrunyo vartayat. You right?
That translation, that most obedient wife thus fell down at the feet of her dead husband and began to cry pitifully in that solitary forest. Thus the tears rolled down from her eyes. Purport: just as a devoted wife becomes afflicted at the passing away of her husband, when a spiritual master passes away, the disciple becomes similarly bereaved.
Yeah, so remember that this whole description is about guru and disciple. So this is what's going to be discussed here. Next. Chitim darumayim chitva tasyam patyu kalevaram adipya chanumarane vilapanti manodadhe.
Long-standing tradition of the Vedic system that a faithful wife dies along with the husband. This is called Saramaranga. In India, this system was prevalent even to the date of British occupation. At that time, however, a wife who did not wish to die with her husband was sometimes forced to do so by her relatives. Formerly, that was not the case. The wife used to enter the fire voluntarily. The British government stopped this practice, considering it inhuman. However, from the early history of India, we find that when Maharaja Pandu died, he was survived by
Priya?
two wives,
Sorry,
Madhuri and
you have to
Kunti.
come inside, no? You come inside. Sorry.
The question was whether both should die or one should die. After the death of Maharaj Pandu, his wife settled that one should remain and the other should go. Madhuri would perish with her husband in the fire, and Kunti would remain to take charge of the 5 Pandava children. Even as late as 1936, we saw a devoted wife voluntarily enter the fire of her husband. This indicates that a devoted wife must be prepared to act in such a way. Similarly, a devoted disciple of the spiritual master would rather die with the spiritual master than fail to execute the spiritual master's mission. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead comes down upon this earth to re-establish the principles of religion, so his representatives, the spiritual master, also comes to re-establish religious principles. It is the duty of the disciple to take charge of the mission of the spiritual master and execute it properly. Otherwise, the disciple should decide to die along with the spiritual master. In other words, to execute the will of the spiritual master, the disciple should be prepared to lay down his life and abandon all personal considerations.
So this is a most important purport. And the thing is that Prabhupada's disciples, they were youngsters practically. When Prabhupada left this world, they were in their 20s mostly. And so we said that, this husband and wife, so this feeling of devotion that the wife is, you can switch it off? So, that feeling of devotion that the wife feels for the husband make her die along with the husband. This is Saha Marana. Saha Marana. So, this is no longer applicable. The centuries have gone by and it's no longer applicable. It's actually misused when the woman is forced. She's criminal, right? A woman who doesn't have that type of relationship or power, because usually it's the Kshatriya women who would do this, right? They're not the ordinary women.
But if she's willing to die, then is it okay?
Only Brahmanas and Kshatriyas would do this. Actually, we just completed a whole session on study of women from Bhagavatam, and what we found out is that the Chatrani, they are the ones who would actually enter the fire. Like the Rajput, I guess. Right? That's the Rajput. And there are few reasons for this. Number one reason is that if, especially in war, if the husband is captured or dies, then the woman will be captured. So reason number one. It's one of the booty, the woman is one of the booty of the opposite party, as it's happening even now, right? So these women, they prefer to die than be captured by the opposite party. And that's one thing that we were discussing. That's why when they would do this matching, the husband-wife combination of men and women, that's the number one reason why Kshatriyas would marry Kshatriyas. Because the woman should have that caliber, right? Then she's able, to be a match. So, meaning that if the husband dies, the woman will not let herself be captured by the other opposite party. So that's why they enter the fire. And again, when we studied, it's not that they are just burning alive. It's not at all like this. So if we study carefully, these women have actually mystic power. They have great power. So just like we read about King Prithu, he willingly left the body, right? By himself he left the body. So again, meaning this equality between man and woman. Meaning that the woman also, she has developed this mystic power like Sati. Sati didn't jump in a fire, right? What did she do? She put from inside, right? The tejas. Everybody has fire in the body. Through the power of mysticism, she lit the body on fire. So similarly, these women, they are not ordinary women, right? They are women. We've seen how much sense control Vaidhavi had to undergo, right? In the previous verses we read. That she's said to be upapati, almost equal to the husband. Meaning that if the husband is this much, then she's almost equal, right? Meaning she has great power. So through the power of her austerities, she's able to do this. And so, but here Prabhupada is saying that now the woman has lost that ability, the men also have lost, their courage. And the woman also doesn't have that capacity. So it's not that they just jump in a fire and burn alive and screaming and, set themselves on fire. It's not at all like that. I mean, very so. That's why we need to study properly the ancient scriptures, understand the context and the method by which it was happening. And we also studied, for the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas, like when the woman, like we see with Vishnupriya, when Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, she became a sannyasini. She behaved exactly like as a renunciant. So, meaning that he's civilly dead. Renunciation means, sannyas means civilly dead. So the woman, she also disappeared from the public view. That's her austerity. So it's as good as dying for the society, But unless there is an inner understanding, as now we're going to read, the education that is going to happen in the next few verses, unless that is awakened in the person, who can do this? No? To not be visible in, she was, like we say, Vishnupriya was 14 years old. Her husband was 24. Lord Chaitanya was 24. So when she got married, maybe she was 12, 14 years old. Sita Devi was, they say, 15 years old. Right? When they went to the forest. So we're not going to imitate, all right? We're not going to imitate all this. But we have our own process, as Prabhupada is making it very simple for us. Not that when the husband dies, you also jump in the fire, right? You can't do it. So here, this second section, when Prabhupada is saying that, a devoted disciple, so we saw that in real life, with all Prabhupada's disciples, whoever today is now in their 70s, they were in their 20s, all right? They're now in their 70s. So when Prabhupada left, they were completely confused. They didn't know what to do and where to find Prabhupada again, because they were young boys and girls. They know nothing and nobody except Srila Prabhupada, right? And suddenly, and most of them, maybe they knew Prabhupada. I think like the oldest would be 10 years, right? 10 years that they have been with Prabhupada, meaning 5 to 10 years. However much they have been able to learn. Like Bhakti Charu Swami, he knew Prabhupada only 1 year. All right? You see what type of disciple he became? In only 1 year he met Prabhupada, served him day and night. His everything was Prabhupada. So this verse is applicable. And within that 1 year, Prabhupada gave him Diksha, gave him Brahman Diksha, gave him Sannyas Diksha in 1 year. Yes. That was his capacity. So Prabhupada collected the most precious gems of the world. You should read, about all. Actually, there's some book outside. Giriraj Swami wrote about Tamar Krishna Goswami Maharaj, thinking of Gur Govinda Maharaj. How they met Prabhupada and what they did for Prabhupada.
Must be all great wishes, Mataji.
Must be? Yeah, yes, definitely.
Coming in foreign language, grasping and
Yes,
and
yeah.
that
Yeah, not even knowing Krishna, Jayapataka Maharaj, didn't know, he never heard of Krishna. So here, so this indicates that a devotee's wife must be prepared to act in such a way, meaning give her life. Now Prabhupada is giving, if you remain alive, then what you should do? Only follow the instruction of Guru? Yeah, this is very mild, very you should say what the disciple should do. a devoted disciple of the spiritual master would rather die, right? Would rather die with the spiritual master than fail to execute the spiritual master's mission. It's not just following their instructions. What are the instructions of Guru? Follow four executive principles and chant Hare Krishna. But here, what about this devoted disciple?
To re-establish the principles of religion.
What she should do?
To re-establish the principles of religion.
Yes. It's not just, see, that's for the general people, right? This is for the general masses. Here, this is for the special disciple. Prabhupada is giving that instruction. See, just imagine, here is a group of mostly foreigners, very few Indians, all right? Mostly foreigners, they are his disciples. They are anything between 1 year to maximum 10 years, all right? And he's saying that the devoted disciple, a devoted disciple of the spiritual master would rather die with the spiritual master than fail to execute the spiritual master's mission. Mission is spread the principles of religion. Like all of you, you're helping us. Like right now, we're having a camp. Six girls have joined. It's not been easy, right? I mean, we've worked and worked and worked for days and hours and weeks and months, right? Just to design a course, right? And now 6 girls came. We expect 20, 25, 50, right? 6 girls have come. It's not been easy. Urmila ji has been working with us so much. What to do? So here, a devoted disciple of the spiritual master would rather die with the spiritual master than fail to execute the spiritual master's mission. So to chant Hare Krishna and to follow the four executive principles, this is an instruction for the general masses of devotees. But that devoted disciple would rather die than fail to execute the mission, which is to spread the movement. And that's what we are inviting all of you, pushing you, calling you, come, do seva. What is that seva? Be part of the mission of the spiritual master. Because one person cannot do. So many have to do. Now with one program for 6 girls, how many people have worked? Nothing less than 10 people. Nothing less than 10 people. Right now 4 teachers, 2 staff, plus all the brain that went in it. 10 devotees have worked for 6 girls. Right? So we're still poor, right? We're still very poor. So we have to do better than this. As the Supreme Personal Godhead comes down from this earth, upon this earth, to re-establish the principles of religion, so his representative, the spiritual master, also comes to re-establish religious principles. So I asked one of these girls, why did you join this camp? She said she went abroad, and coming from India, automatically you have that experience, maybe also that coming from India, when people see an Indian, the automatic approach is they want to know something about the religion. Because India means dharma, religious principles. So this girl told me, she's a student. There's all students, second year medicine. So she said that she couldn't answer. Okay, 20 plus, all right? She couldn't answer. And she thought, I'm not able to answer the question that people ask me from abroad. She came to the temple, she saw the poster, she was with her parents. She immediately said, I want to join this because I want to learn. This girl is a missionary, right? She said, I must learn so that when I meet people, they ask me the question, I should be able to answer. So she was very happy. Anyway, so few people like this will come. A 15-year-old girl came. She, she insisted, no, she wants to join. She came. So, as the Supreme Person of Godhead comes down upon this earth to re-establish the principles of religion, so his representative, the spiritual master, also comes to re-establish religious principles. Now, it is the duty of the disciples to take charge of the mission of the spiritual master and execute it, how? Properly. All right. Properly. See, Prabhupada is giving us instructions here. We are saying, disciple means follow instructions. Prabhupada is giving, don't do it what we call slapdash. Right? You have a mission, you have work for Krishna, you do it A to Z. This is not work. Right? This is establishing the mission of the Supreme Lord. So this is how Prabhupada's disciples, those who are, moving this movement 50 years from now, they are working and supervising each and everything. I'm saying of Jayapataka Maharaj, one of his, so many things, but I'm just giving one example. One yatra. Now everybody runs for yatra, right? We think it's so good. But who is behind it? You should know who is behind it, right? And Maharaj, even now, he will still go from camp to camp and visit, right? He will go and visit. So this is done properly, not, from home, work from home, sorry. This is on the field. Of course, now he's working from home, right? But he has trained so many systems, like Bhakti Charu Swami, so pakka in his organization, his management, that system, that he has set up, everything is going on. It's really amazing. So do it properly. Otherwise, the disciple should decide to die along with the spiritual master. In other words, to execute the will of the spiritual master, the disciple should be prepared to lay down his life and abandon all personal considerations. Anyway, I would say that there is great advantage in being in the male body. There's 100% advantage in it, right? Women are very much limited, physically, emotionally, morally. It's a fight. To preach is a huge fight.
Everywhere it's a fight. Everywhere it's a fight for whatever work woman does. First she has to establish herself, whether it is for preaching, whether it is in teaching, whether it is in corporate. It is not easy. This is a man's world.
Yeah. So anyway, as a group of women here, let's do our best, right? Yesterday we had Vaiyashaki Prabhu is here, and he's been giving this wonderful classes. So one thing, it's a story that we've heard millions of times. I still when somebody who's a good speaker tell the story, you want to hear again. So the story of Hanuman and the squirrel, right? So Hanuman was carrying this huge boulder, throwing, and this squirrel, just sand, right? Get out of the way, you're in my way. Ramachandra says, you are both equal. You're both equal. So as women, with all our limitation, whatever we may be able to advance in the cause of Krishna's mission, for Krishna this is equal are the big Maharathis who are preaching all over India and all over the world. For Krishna is the same. What is the condition?
Pure devotion and dedication.
Okay, tell me.
Pure devotion,
Pure devotion,
dedication,
dedication, sincerity,
perseverance.
perseverance. Cooperate women, speak now. What else?
Surrendering to the conscious.
No, yes, that's all included. These are all your internal mood. Now, more what did Prabhupada say in this text? Execute how? Execute properly, alright? Properly. Don't be sincere, okay? It's not sufficient to just be sincere. Do it properly. Properly. And another more qualification, one more. What did Prabhupada say? You or die?
Do your best to die with your
No, what else did Prabhupada say? How?
Abandon all,
Yes. What did he say?
abandon all personal considerations.
Yes. Yes. These are the two external, what is visible when you say devoted, dedication, surrender, all that. All this is manifested externally in two ways. You do the service properly. Alright? You don't half do, properly. And secondly, abandon all personal considerations. Not that I'm hungry now, you know. Don't say I'm hungry now when you have to do some work. You can delay 1 hour. You're not going to die, right? Small example I'm giving. So abandoning all personal considerations. Text 51. Tatra purvatara kaschid sakha brahmanatmavan santvayan valguna samna tamaharudatim prabho.
My dear Guru,
Yes.
one Brahmana who was an old friend of King Puranjana came to that place and began to pacify the queen with sweet words. Purport.
Okay, now we are going to listen very carefully what's happening here.
The appearance of an old friend in the form of a Brahmana is very significant. In his Paramatma feature, Krishna is the old friend of everyone. According to Vedic injunction, Krishna is sitting with the living entity side by side. According to the Shruti mantra, Dva Suparna Sayujya Sakhya.
Sakhayaha.
Sakhayaha. The Lord is sitting within the heart of every living entity as Suhrit.
Suhrit. Suhrit.
The best friend. The Lord is always eager to have the living entity come home back to Godhead. Sitting with the living entity as witness, the Lord gives him all chances to enjoy himself materially. But whenever there is an opportunity, the Lord gives good counsel and advises the living entity to abandon trying to become happy through material adjustment and instead turn his face toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrender unto Him. When one becomes serious to follow the mission of the spiritual master, his resolution is tantamount to seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As explained before, this means meeting the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the instruction of the spiritual master. This is technically called Vani Seva. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states in his Bhagavad Gita commentary on the verse Vyavasayika Buddhi Ekeha Kurunandana, Bhagavad Gita 2.41, that one should serve the words of the spiritual master. The disciple must stick to whatever the spiritual master orders. Simply by following on that line, one sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes. Okay, now, so this is, now what has happened? What happened here?
Krishna is sitting as a Paramatma.
No, what happened here?
One friend came.
One friend came? Yes. In the form of a Brahmana. Alright? A Brahmana came. I mean, this happened all the time. I mean, those who are pious, right? Usually when there is a death in the family, they call? Yes. Why? Why do they call a Brahmana? This is a tradition.
We know the rituals and he's a learned.
Yes, and?
And through him there is a sort of mukti for the soul. There is a kind of a ritual which is performed, the mantras and the Purana.
Because it's very established when somebody dies, everybody is in a different mindset.
Yes.
They call Brahmanas to preach,
Yeah.
explain.
Yes. Yes. This is the same thing here. So they call the Brahmanas. Why? Because the Brahmanas can give this knowledge. This Brahmana is equal to who? Paramatma. He's able to speak the words of the super soul. So that Brahmana is an old friend of King Puranjana. Alright? That super soul is a very, very old friend. So here Prabhupada is saying that this super soul is always giving counsel, always advising the living entity to abandon trying to become happy through material adjustment and instead turn his face toward the Supreme Person Godhead and surrender to him. Now, when one becomes serious to follow the mission of the spiritual master, his resolution is tantamount to seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What do you understand by this?
The first priority or the tantamount, I don't know the exact.
One becomes serious following the spiritual master.
Okay, look up the word. What's the meaning of tantamount? Tantamount. What does it mean?
He can see a Lord in everything. He's able to see that.
I'll read it again. When one becomes serious to follow the mission of the spiritual master, his resolution is tantamount to seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Equivalent in seriousness to, virtually the same as.
Okay? What does that mean?
Same as Guru.
But one
Identical, alike, as good as,
Alright?
equivalent,
Alright?
indistinguishable,
Yes.
parallel.
If you resolve to follow the Maharaj very seriously, as equal as following the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
It is seeing.
Serving Guru is as equal as serving Godhead, Supreme Personality.
Here Prabhupada is saying, it's not serving, he's saying seeing. When we become serious to follow the mission of the spiritual master, it is equal to seeing.
Supreme Personality.
What is the goal of all our sadhana?
Be with the Supreme Personality, to meet him.
Right? The goal of all our sadhana is to seeing, coming face to face with the Supreme Lord. Right? So when we are engaged in the mission seriously of the spiritual master, this is actually seeing the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, why will you do it? Okay, read. No, just read what says in Hindi. Yeah, yes, say.
जब कोई अपने गुरु के संदेश का अनुगमन करने के लिए उद्यत रहता है तो उसका यह संकल्प श्री भगवान के दर्शन करने के समान होता है.
Okay, saman, you see? Tantaman means saman, alright? Tantamount means saman, alright? The same as seeing the Supreme Lord, alright? Tantamount means same, saman. Yes, so, as explained before, this means meeting. See now, Prabhupada is elaborating. As explained before, this means meeting the Supreme Person of Godhead in the instruction of the spiritual master. Vani Seva. Technically, this is called Vani Seva. See, we explained even before that what is the purpose of Guru? What is the mission? What is the purpose of Guru? Yes?
भौतिक जगत से उबारना, भव सागर से, जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि से.
It takes
Yeah.
away also whatever the inferior insignificance of the disciples upon him, and gives the knowledge, blessings to the guidance to the disciple, and still sees that he's come back to the Godhead, goes back to the Godhead.
Yes. So only one work the Guru has. It is to reunite the conditioned soul with Krishna. Alright. Whatever he does in between has only one goal. How to reunite the soul with the Supreme Soul. Alright. So if we are executing the mission of the Supreme Lord, it means that we've achieved seeing the Supreme Lord. So it's done. So Vani Seva means, so Guru, he has left his instruction. So if we follow the instruction, he has done his work. All right?
Follow the instructions seriously means as good as seeing the Supreme.
Yeah, following the instruction meaning here, Prabhupada is speaking the mission. Become serious to follow the mission of the spiritual master. It's again, I'm coming back to the same point. It's not just chant Hare Krishna and follow 4 Eightfold Principles. That's included.
Mission is a much broader.
Yes,
it's a much inclusive.
yes,
It's very
yes.
specific.
Yeah, means to follow the mission of the spiritual master. People these days speak of mission statement, right?
Corporate always have a
First,
mission statement.
write down your mission statement. So Krishna has his mission, right? So and Guru is part of that mission. Simply, the disciple must stick to whatever the spiritual master orders. Simply by following on that line, one sees the Supreme Person Godhead. Meaning, his
Paramatma appeared before the queen as a Brahmana, but why didn't he appear in his original form as Krishna? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks that unless one is very highly elevated in loving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot see him as he is. Nonetheless, if one sticks to the principles enunciated by the spiritual master, somehow or other he is in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since the Lord is in the heart, he can advise a sincere disciple from within. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10.10. Tesham satata yuktanam vastam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yukam yenama upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. In conclusion, if a disciple is very serious to execute the mission of spiritual master, he immediately associates with the Supreme Personality of Godhead by Vani or Vapu. This is the only secret of success in seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Instead of being eager to see the Lord in some bush of Vrindavan, while at the same time engaging in sense gratification, if one instead sticks to the principle of following the words of the spiritual master, he will see the Supreme Lord without difficulty. Srila Bilvamangai Thakur has therefore said, Bhakti stvai sthirtara bhagavan yadi syad devena na phalati divya kishora murti mukti swayam mukulitanjali sevate asman dharmartha kama gataya samaya pratiksha. If I am engaged in devotional service unto you, my dear Lord, then very easily can I perceive your presence everywhere. And as far as liberation is concerned, I think that liberation stands at my door with folded hands waiting to serve me, and all material conveniences of dharma, religiosity, artha, economic development, and kama, sense gratification, stand with her. Krishna Karnamrita 107. If one is very highly advanced in devotional service, he will have no difficulty in seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one engages in the service of the spiritual master, he not only sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead but attains liberation. As far as material conveniences are concerned, they automatically come, just as the maidservants of a queen follow the queen wherever she goes. Liberation is no problem for the pure devotee, and all material conveniences are simply awaiting him at all stage of life.
Okay, so it's along the same line. So this is meaning that we are automatically liberated. If we are following the instruction of the spiritual master, then mukti is waiting for us. If one is very highly advanced in devotional service, he will have no difficulty in seeing the Supreme Person Godhead. So before I asked, why is it that when there is a death we call a Brahmana? Actually it is Krishna himself is coming. You have to remember this. Whenever somebody dies, it's actually the Paramatma who comes to speak. So this is done through a Brahmana. So here Prabhupada is saying, why is it that the Supreme Lord himself doesn't come? Because the person is not advanced. Unless one is very highly elevated in loving the Supreme Person Godhead, one cannot see him as he is. But death is that time when the Supreme Lord comes. He comes to tell us about the truth of this body. Why are we also shaken, disturbed when there is a death? Why? Because it's unnatural to die. And nobody wants to die. Nobody wants some broken relationship. So the Supreme Lord comes to give instruction. Like Arjuna, it's at the time of death that Krishna is coming, right? It's face to face with death. So many people are going to die. So Arjuna is very disturbed at that time. Who came? Krishna. Same for everybody. So here the king has died. The wife is left all alone, meaning the relative is left behind. So what do? Paramatma comes. Very significant. I'm just bringing it down to our everyday life because Bhagavatam is spoken for all of us. So next time, we should know that sometimes we think we're a little sentimental, we should not speak about all this. we should just sympathize. You know, a person is crying, this, that. Yes, but maybe not, especially if there is a shock, you know, when the family is in the shock. Okay, you need to let 1 day, 2 days pass, but the third day, we must definitely speak. This is the duty. Okay, actually we are going very slowly, very, very slowly, but I don't know what to do. I know there's too much instruction in all these. Is it okay? Or should I just jump? All right, okay, not jump. Okay, so we'll take 1 year to complete this canto. 52. Brahmana uvacha katvam kasyasi ko vayam shayam no yasya shochasi janasi kam sakhayam mam yenagre vichacharthaya.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The Brahmana inquired as follows: Who are you? Whose wife or daughter are you? Who is the man lying here? It appears you are lamenting for this dead body. Don't you recognize me? I am your eternal friend. You may remember that many times in the past you have consulted me. Forward by Srila Prabhupada. When a person's relative dies, renunciation is automatically visible. Consultation with the Super Soul seated within everyone's heart is possible only when one is completely free from the contamination of material attachment. One who is sincere and pure gets an opportunity to consult with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his Paramatma feature. Sitting within everyone's heart, the Paramatma is always the Chaitya Guru, the spiritual master within, and he comes before one externally as the instructor and initiator spiritual master. The Lord can reside within the heart, and he can also come out before a person and give him instructions. Thus, the spiritual master is not different from the super soul sitting within the heart. An uncontaminated soul or living entity can get a chance to meet the Paramatma face to face, just as one gets a chance to consult with the Paramatma within his heart. One also gets a chance to see him actually seated before him. The one can take instructions from the Super Soul directly. This is the duty of the pure devotee, to see the bona fide spiritual master and consult with the Super Soul within the heart.
Is this clear? We have discussed this again and again. Yeah, go on.
When the Brahmana asked the woman who the man lying on the floor was, she answered that he was her spiritual master and that she was perplexed about what to do in his absence. At such a time, the Super Soul immediately appears, provided the devotee is purified in heart by following the directions of the spiritual master. A sincere devotee who follows the instructions of the spiritual master certainly gets direct instructions from his heart from the Super Soul. Thus, a sincere devotee is always helped directly or indirectly by the spiritual master and the Super Soul. This is confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Guru Krishna Prasade, Paya serves his spiritual master sincerely, Krishna automatically becomes pleased. Yasya prasada bhagavad prasadaha. By satisfying the spiritual master, one automatically satisfies Krishna. Thus, the devotee becomes enriched by both the spiritual master and Krishna. The super soul is eternally the friend of the living entity and always remains with him. The super soul has always been ready to help the living entity even before the creation of this material world. It is therefore stated here, Yangare
Linagre.
The word agre means before the creation. Thus, the super soul has been accompanying the living entity since before the creation.
So just see, meaning we are at no time lost. The soul is at no time lost. Always accompanied by the super soul. But it's like when will the soul turn towards him and listen to the instructions, take instructions from him. This is the gist here. Okay, we can do one more. Appi smarasye chatmanam avigyata sakham sakhe hitva mam padam anvichan bhoma bhoga rato gataha.
Translation. The Brahmana continued, "My dear friend, even though you cannot immediately recognize me, can't you remember that in the past you had a very intimate friend? Unfortunately, you gave up my company and accepted a position as enjoyer of this material world." Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.27, Ichcha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. O scion of Bharata, Arjuna, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, overcome by the dualities of desire and hate. This is an explanation of how the living entity falls down into this material world. In the spiritual world, there is no duality, nor is there hate. The Supreme Personality of Godhead expands himself into many. In order to enjoy bliss more and more, the Supreme Lord expands himself in different categories. As mentioned in the Varaha Purana, he expands himself into Vishnu Tattva, the Swamsha expansion, and his marginal potency, the Vivinna Amsha, or the living entity. These expanded living entities are innumerable, just as the minute molecules of the sunshine are innumerable expansions of the sun. The Vivinna Amsha expansions, the marginal potencies of the Lord, are the living entities. When the living entities desire to enjoy themselves, they develop a consciousness of duality and come to hate the service of the Lord. In this way, the living entities fall into the material world. In the Prema Vivarta, it is said, Krishna Bahirmukha Hana Bhoga Vancha Kare Nikatastha Maya Tare Chapatiya Dhare. Bengali. The natural position of the living entity is to serve the Lord in a transcendental loving attitude. When the living entity wants to become Krishna himself or imitate Krishna, he falls down into the material world. Since Krishna is the Supreme Father, his affection for the living entity is eternal. When the living entity falls down into the material world, the Supreme Lord, through his Swamsha expansion, Paramatma, keeps company with the living entity. In this way, the living entity may someday return home back to God. By misusing his independence, the living entity falls down from the service of the Lord and takes a position in the material world as an enjoyer. That is to say, the living entity takes his position within a material body. Wanting to take a very exalted position, the living entity instead becomes entangled in a repetition of birth and death. He selects his position as a human being, a demigod, a cat, a dog, a tree, etc. In this way, the living entity selects a body out of the 84 lakh forms and tries to satisfy himself by a variety of material enjoyment. The supersoul, however, does not like him to do this. Consequently, the supersoul instructs him to surrender onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord then takes charge of the living entity, but unless the living entity is uncontaminated by the material desires, he cannot surrender to the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 5.29, the Lord says, Bhoktaram yavna tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram shurtam sarva bhutanam nyatva mam santim ichchati. The sages, knowing me as the ultimate purpose of all sacrifices and austerities, the Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. The Supreme Lord is the supreme friend of everyone. However, no one can take advantage of the Supreme Friend's instructions while making his own plans to become happy and entangling himself in the modes of material nature. When there is creation, the living entity takes on different forms according to his past desires. This means that all the species or forms of life are simultaneously created. Darwin's theory stating that no human being existed from the beginning but the human evolved after many years is simply a nonsensical theory. From Vedic literature, we find that the first creature within the universe is Lord Brahma. Being the most intelligent personality, Lord Brahma could take charge of creating all the variety found within this material world.
Yes. So, why this is an explanation of the fall down of the soul within this material world. What is the reason of fall down?
He wants to become an enjoyer, independent of the Lord.
And the words used here.
By misusing his independence, the living entity falls down from the service of the Lord and takes a position in this material world as an enjoyer.
Yes, and what's going on in his heart? There is something that's going on in the heart. That's why we come here. What's going on?
And he wants to become Krishna himself, so immediately Krishna.
Yes, Sanskrit words. Yes. Ichha, dvesh. Alright?
Chadvesha.
And here Prabhupada is saying that when the living entities desire to enjoy themselves, they develop a consciousness of duality and come to hate the service of the Lord. So you understand what Prabhupada has done when he set up this movement? He didn't just tell us, here's Bhagavad Gita, go and read. No. He built temples, he built ashram, he built guest house, he built kitchens, right? What for? School, Gurukul, Govindas, why?
Give education.
Hmm? Yes. In order to remove that hatred, here Prabhupada is saying, we come to hate the service of the Lord. And we see this every day. I mean, even among ourselves, we know how hard it is. How hard it is to make a devotee remain constant in the seva. Very, very difficult. It's natural for him not to do it. It's a miracle we can somebody who stick it out. Very, very difficult, because here Prabhupada is explaining the beginning itself, the fall down of the soul, hatred for service of the Lord. And what do they want to do? They want to serve themselves. So Prabhupada is, he has made this entire organization to give opportunity.
For us to serve.
Yes, so we should do seva, right? In whatever way, from home, at home, whatever, but service must be done, because this is, we are showing that now we are changing. and we already saw how devoted, do it properly, put aside personal consideration. So many things Prabhupada is giving in these few purports. All right. So thank you very much. Is there any questions, comments? Very intense, no? So what you couldn't follow? My dear friend, even though you cannot immediately recognize me, can't you remember that in the past you had a very intimate friend, right? Unfortunately, you gave up my company and accepted a position as enjoyer of this material world. So this is how we have come down in this material world. Here, this is straight the word of Bhagavatam, right? The super soul who is speaking. Shukadeva Goswami is speaking to, anyway, this one speaking to this one. Okay, but finally it is the instruction of the Lord, right? So he said, you gave me up. You gave up my company, and why? You wanted to be here and enjoy by yourself. Don't you remember me? We are very old friends. Death. At the time of death, this is what happened. That Jeev who has left that body, he has to hear all this. What are you doing? What are you doing in this material world? What are you doing? It's very horrible to die. So all that what you believe, is just ritual or whatever. Actually, this reading Garud Puran, this Puran, that Puran, this is what we are reading here. Just to remind that soul, what are you doing here? Now you're going to take your next birth. What are you going in the next birth? What are you going to do? What have you done now? Feedback is given at the time of death.
So in the text 52, when we read the super soul comes directly to the devotion that they have. The super soul directly comes to give the instructions.
To those who are highly advanced. And those who are not highly advanced, how the super soul comes?
So the Brahman.
Yes, as a Brahmana.
And what we are talking here about that, it goes into the animals, they get in the text 53.
Yes. So here, Prabhupada is explaining that when the Atma, this Jiva Atma, he falls down, not necessarily he's coming as human being. As human being, you can hear the Paramatma speaking, right? The Brahmanas come and speak. But when you become an animal, then it's like you're lost. The soul is lost. And he has to wait to undergo this evolution, this 84 lakh yoni. He has to wait. Like he's just punished. So the soul is as good as lost. So gradually, and he elevates himself. It goes through an evolution. It's an automatic evolution. But the laws of nature. So among these different yonis, depending on what your karma is, you are placed in this one, that one, and then you are elevated gradually until you come back to human being. And when you come back to human being, we read somewhere, right? If it was a human being who was in mode of goodness, he fell down. When he comes back, he comes back to that level again. If he's a human being who was in mode of passion, he falls down. He comes back to a human being in the mode of passion. And he was in mode of ignorance. He comes back as a human being in mode of ignorance. But opportunity is given for him to be elevated. And we saw Prabhupada, hearing Prabhupada's lectures, he speaks of Africa. He said he couldn't believe it, that in Africa, he said, these people in the jungle, how is it that they're chanting Hare Krishna? Prabhupada went there, and his disciples went there. He says, how is it that these people are chanting Hare Krishna? they're accepting the prasadam. He says, so therefore it means that love is in everybody's heart. Krishna is for everybody.
Mataji, I have a question. I was reading in Bhagavatam only, maybe the 10th chapter. It says that when the body finishes its karma, when the soul finishes its karma in the body, it leaves the body. So that means till we have karma left, we will remain in this body. That means this body is a place for us to finish our karmic conditions.
Yeah, but that depends, just like my dress. Krishna is saying my dress, right? It becomes old and I have to change it, meaning the dress has become too old, my karma can no longer be executed through that particular body.
But Mataji, what happens when people have sudden death or very unprecedented death? That means they only had that much karma associated with that body that they left that body suddenly. Many times people who get killed also.
Yes. So that's like a reaction, you could say. Like you say somebody gets killed, it's a reaction for killing somebody, right? That's how it happens. That's why there's this capital punishment, right, from Bhagavad Gita. Like the king will usually kill a murderer.
Yes.
So he said that if you don't kill the murderer, he will get killed anyway. Next life.
So that means in his next life, he is only destined for that much time in that body.
Yes, yeah, but then if he hasn't completed all his karma, the huge stock of karma, right? Everything is not exhausted.
Yeah.
So one particular karma is exhausted and another set of karma is starting. Right? I think we read here itself in this Bhagavatam, in this 4th canto. So meaning that so much karma is there. You cannot remove everything. It takes many lifetimes to exhaust all our karma. Meaning that the body is not sufficient, especially Kali Yuga. It's only 120 years maximum, right?
So that exact word was since I should have that sentence only caught my attention and I thought I would have checked with you then and there. WhatsApp you because it was eating me at night when I read it. That since the soul has he has left the body because the karmas finished. That means for this body, that means I will hold this body till my entire set of karma related to this body doesn't get over. And the moment it gets over,
then your next set of karma starts. As I'm saying, like we've got a pile. Prabhupada speak of stockpile of karma.
So is this all the back or is that what I have also generated by being in this body?
Now, so this is how there is free will. So meaning whatever karma I'm doing now, this may, reduce my other karma, right? Sarva dharmam parityaja mam ekam sharanam braj, right? And that's what we are doing right now. We are changing people's karma. Why are you forcing people, take the book, come attend this program, do this? Because we are forcing them to change their karma. So everybody has a huge stockpile, Prabhupada used that word, stockpile of karma, and it is gradually released. But it is so huge in one body, it's not possible. So one lifetime is over. So this is over. Now take another one. But by one stroke of Krishna consciousness, all that pile of karma can be finished. Provided we are as just described, devoted, doing the service properly, no hatred to do, service to Krishna, abandoning all personal consideration. All this, it proved to Krishna that, okay, let the old karma, aprarabdha karma we call it, let that be over. Let that be, just written off, okay. Let that be written off. No need to suffer all this. We're now proven. You follow this? ordinary people, they finish one set of karma,
They take another.
yes, the previous one, maybe, 2-3 lifetimes has stole land from somebody. This is kept in stock. It is called aprarabdha karma, right? And you have to pay for it, but in one lifetime, how much can you pay? Right?
No, that means suppose A is given a body, and that, so when that body is given, it is already been pre-decided that 1 to 100 prarabdha, whatever he has to finish it in this body.
Yes.
And then he will take another body, then 101 to 200 maybe.
Correct.
He will have to
Yes,
I'm just trying to
yes,
put logic
correct,
to
correct.
better understand.
Yes, stockpile of karma Prabhupada speaks of. Stockpile, it is called aprarabdha karma. Everybody's got a stock of karma. Even let's say you have a business, people die in your business. Do you think you don't get the karma? Right? Don't you think? If 10 people die in your business, right? 10 people die in your business. Do you think you're not accountable for it? Negligence, right? 100%. How many lives you have to take? For each and every suffering you have inflicted upon one person plus the entire family, nobody is left off. The law of karma is extremely stringent. Camera, we call these nakshatras, right? We say it's the stars and the camera of the Lord. Clicking each and every picture.
That means Mataji, from the time we get up in the morning, consciously, unconsciously, we are indulging in karma.
Yes.
Good or bad?
So now that's why when we become devotees, right? When we become devotees, we become Krishna conscious. Like we know very well there are those 5 types of yajnas that we are supposed to do. Because even while cooking, walking, breathing, we are creating some type of disturbance to somebody. The mosquito, okay, finish. I mean, how long you tolerate, right? You finish. So therefore, Prabhupada explained, and my Guru Maharaj also say the same thing, that we should be Krishna conscious. If your life is dedicated to Krishna, He will take care of all our stock of karma. Sarva dharmam parityaja, mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha ishami ma suchaha. Don't worry. So therefore, the only thing that we have to do is to be a proper devotee. Serve Krishna with full heart, as we have just studied in this chapter now. Very simple, very, very simple. Meaning that every day has to be a new day to improve my devotional life, my Krishna consciousness. Then it is eradicating, and we have heard from Nectar of Devotion that this bhakti yoga is so powerful that it can burn unlimited amount of karma. Even Bhagavad Gita says, if we surrender to Krishna, we have knowledge of Krishna, it burns up so much karma. Because what to do, we've just read now what has happened to us. We have fallen in this material world, right? Since time immemorial, and before creation also the super soul is with us. Meaning even before our body is created, the super soul is already with us. Because when we come down, we can't come alone, he has to come with us. He's the pilot of our soul. Super soul means the soul of the soul. So if you want to come down here, you can't come alone. The super soul has to drive you down here. So horrible when you read all this, but still, so much talk is going on, so that something goes in and we change. So everybody becomes serious in chanting, hearing and doing seva. All right? You've just read it. I mean, it's just very clear. All right. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Anjakalparurvyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. Oof, we're all freezing here.